March 1988. Somewhere over the Atlantic, between the smoldering drought camps of Eritrea and the editorial offices of New York City, Audrey Hepburn sat in a plain seat and did not sleep. She had been awake for 31 hours. Wait, because what happened in the next 4 days would test something she hadn't known she possessed. And the only person who could reach her in that darkness was a man she hadn't truly spoken to alone in years. A man whose number she hadn't dialed since before she walked into an orphanage in Makelo and counted 500 starving children. Gregory Peck was 71 and asleep in his Brentwood home when the telephone rang for the second time. He had not answered the first ring. The clock read 2:17 in the morning. His hand found the receiver before his eyes fully opened, the reflex of a man who had learned that late calls were never trivial. When he heard her voice, the slight European lilt 3 decades of Hollywood had never erased, he sat upright in the dark without a word, already listening. Have you ever received a call at night from someone you love and understood before a word was spoken, that something had broken loose in them that words alone could not repair? She was at Kennedy Airport, standing in a telephone booth with one hand pressed flat against a cold glass. She had given 14 interviews in 6 days since returning from Ethiopia. 14 times she had described what she saw. Mothers who walked 3 weeks carrying children too weak to cry. Desert camps where people settled onto the ground to die. An orphanage where 500 children's silence was louder than any theater she had ever known. 14 times she had kept her voice steady enough for journalists to keep their pens moving. Then she had found a seat at Heathrow and the composure had simply stopped, not cracked. Stopped. The way a light stops when a current is cut. Gregory had moved to the chair by the window, settled into the stillness those who knew him recognized. The stillness of a man choosing to be entirely present. When she described the orphanage, she did not say it was terrible. When she described a mother who had carried twin boys for 11 days and arrived to find the camp's ration exhausted, he did not say he was sorry. He listened the way Atticus Finch listened, understanding that some things cannot be answered, only witnessed. Do you remember when you last allowed someone to simply hold a silence with you, without filling it with comfort? 35 years had passed since the summer of 1952 when they filmed Roman Holiday on the hot cobblestones of Rome, and she had arrived 2 hours early to every call sheet, terrified of failing. He had simply positioned himself nearby and told her stories about his own disastrous first screen test until she was laughing instead of trembling. That was how he operated, not with declarations, with presence. She told him she was afraid she could not continue the interview as UNICEF needed 15 more cities. She understood the arithmetic, that her words were connected by invisible thread to dollars that bought the powdered milk distributed by truck in Asmara. She just did not know how to carry her face into another studio without something inside her giving way. Gregory asked one question. Could she go again tomorrow? Not in 6 months tomorrow. She was quiet. Then, yes, he said. Then tonight is for this, not philosophy, a factual statement about how things work, from a man who had earned the right to say it. Have you ever been given permission to feel the full weight of something you had been carrying too carefully? They talked for 40 minutes. At 2:58, she said she had to board. He said travel safely. Neither mentioned they would see each other in 3 weeks at the Academy Awards, listed as presenters together. where cameras would capture them walking on stage to a room that had no idea what this woman had been carrying since March. But the tall man beside her had quietly helped her sit down on an airport floor at 2 in the morning, so she could continue. This is what friendship looks like when it has had 35 years to understand itself. Not the kind that appears in premiere photographs, the kind that answers on the second ring and asks exactly one question and gives you 40 minutes of permission to be what you actually are instead of what the world needs you to perform. If you remember when dignity was not a performance, but simply what remained when you were honest with someone you trusted. Share this with someone who has held you in the dark. Subscribe to keep this era alive. Like, if you believe these quiet moments matter more than the ones the cameras caught.